guys, welcome to the third episode of Unethical Podcast.
You're gonna kill me so good.
Our guest host for this episode is Sochi, and the case we will be discussing today is the Sharon Lopatka Robert Glass consensual homicide case. Hey guys, describe for the listeners in detail the absolute kinkiest, dirtiest, most ball-slappingest sex you have ever had. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
I was gonna say, you just ambushed us with some fucking crazy... Okay, let's get started.
I was like, Tally, is this why you invited me here for this?
I was gonna say, why are we so boring?
Do it later.
I feel attacked.
I was about to say I'm going to have to leave the podcast completely if you want.
Do it later when we're alone. It's not necessary because we're going to talk about Sharon Lopatka and Robert Glass's weird sex shit today.
Yay.
There.
I love weird sex shit. Woo-hoo!
Subscribers skyrocket at this point. All right. Sharon Lopatka was born on September 20th, 1961 in Baltimore, Maryland. Growing up, she was involved in sports and choir, and classmates described her as normal as you can get. So I think if we've learned anything from being true crime fans, everyone seems normal.
And it's
That's
always
true,
normal
but I
ones.
mean, like...
The quiet normal ones that get you.
What does normal even mean? My kids tell me now, they say normal isn't a real thing. It's a game mode. They tell me normal's not real.
I say normal is just a setting on your washing machine.
There you go. See, normal's not a thing. So the fact that they called this lady normal already terrifies me.
Yeah.
Big red flag. I'm just
Super
a
huge
normal
red flag.
guy. Red flag. There
Yeah.
it is.
Voice of reason coming at you.
All right, in 1991, she married a man named Victor against her parents' wishes and moved to Hampstead, Maryland. So Sharon was Jewish and Victor was Catholic. So her parents basically disowned her and cut all ties at this point. In 1995, Sharon got in while the getting was good on the World Wide Web. She was among the early internet entrepreneurs. So if this happened now, she would be the woman you haven't spoken to since high school that suddenly wants to get coffee so that she can get you involved in her It Works pyramid scheme.
And essential oils.
Hey, Richard swears by essential oils.
Hey,
Monet.
too.
I'm into the Monet pyramid scheme. Monet for men.
Ooh.
It's not real.
I always wanted to start a pyramid scheme.
Didn't you already? Isn't this it? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Weird.
maybe.
Pyramid.
If Monet helps me grow a beard like yours, Richard, I'm all in.
Hey, man, you're halfway there with that mustache, Fisty.
Shots fired.
I walked right into that one, didn't I?
So Sharon started her online business from home, where she did internet advertising for products like home decor guides, psychic readings, and more deviant interests like pornography and selling her underwear. She conducted her porno business under the alias Nancy Carlson, and her niche was women who were unconscious, drugged, or hypnotized, involved in sexual acts with other women. So, I mean, I don't really buy into this whole like psychic readings and hypno bullshit. So,
Yeah,
maybe-
she would, if I'm not mistaken, she would be selling this stuff, and like half of it she wouldn't even deliver anyway. And like even the underwear, everything, she wouldn't even. People would give her $100, and she would.
Yeah.
Everything was $100 too, which was great. The underwear, the weird videos, her hypno stuff, all of it was $100. She was hilarious.
maybe it's for tax reasons. Maybe it's like $100 is like a nice number where she doesn't have to like claim it on her taxes. I don't know.
Maybe she just couldn't count past 100. I don't think she was very fucking smart.
Yeah, well,
Did you read any of her messages that she posted? Did you read any of the messages she posted on
I did.
message boards and stuff?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see that my favorite one was about the giantesses? Did you see that one? It says,
no, I didn't.
do you dare enter the land of the giantess, where men are crushed like bugs by these angry yet gorgeous giant goddesses?
Oh, God, yeah.
I've seen that episode of
That was my
Futurama.
favorite.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
Yeah.
Some people
She
pay
has a
money
writer's
for that kind of
credit.
thing.
Yeah.
Can you keep telling me some more?
That was
Can
my-
you tell me some more, actually?
I'm almost there.
It's almost there.
How big are these women? Exactly.
Well, I'm assuming over 6 foot. So,
6 foot.
oh,
It's not that big. I need 8-footers. For me to get any type of hard, I need an 8-footer at least.
That's what they hear them for.
You're gonna give your wife a complex, Richard. Come on.
Nah, she knows I just talk. I forget that I shouldn't say things. I just say shit.
Same.
that's why we make people pay for this stuff.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
don't like
$100.
it? See ya.
$100.
Saya.
Yeah, $100.
$100 to hear Richard talk about his 8-footers.
Mm.
That would get some clicks. Hear about our 8-footers, only $100.
Until they actually like write my name and then they see what I look like, and then it's no more clicks.
I don't know, man. I think that you would actually do very well in gay porn. You have a look.
Okay. Thank you, by the way.
You're very welcome. In between running her businesses, Sharon frequented chat rooms about pornography and fetishes ranging from necrophilia, bondage, and sadomasochism to feet. It was in these chat rooms that she started posting messages about having a desire to be tortured to death. Sharon's persona, Nancy Carlson, sometimes described herself in these posts as a dominatrix pornography actress that weighed 136 kilos, which, for you Americans, does anybody want to take this?
121 pounds.
No, it's go fuck yourself, America, and learn how to fucking do real math,
Learn the
America.
metric system, you stubborn dickheads.
Thank you.
Pounds.
So, fun fact, while I was reading about this in the Google, they suggested the question, is 300 pounds obese? As it turns out, yes, it is. Unless you are 7.5 feet tall. So in Richard's preferences, no, not at all.
Very slim and slender, because I like the 8-footers. So that would be a
Yeah.
little skinny. You know, that'd be a big girl, but not a big girl, you know what I mean?
Bazodian.
Other times, like in her ad for her used underwear, she described herself as petite, with blonde hair and green eyes. In real life, Sharon Lopatka was about 5'10". She weighed about 189 pounds. You're welcome, Americans. She had psoriasis, and her hair kind of looked like tobacco. She also frequently posted about wanting to be force-fed until she doubled in size, mostly in chat rooms about cannibalistic sex. What?
Yummy.
Delicious.
If that's not bad enough, you guys, while she was doing this online, other members of these chat rooms who were like, people involved in the BDSM community would reach out to her and be like, your energy is like super toxic. You're making us look like really bonkers. And she would respond, right? And she'd be like, I don't give a fuck. You want some panties? So imagine how depraved you have to be kink shamed by people in necrophilia and cannibal sex chat rooms.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And what's with even like, okay, this is early internet, right? And everyone had their own like screen name. Like, what was hers? Like Nancy or whatever? Nancy something?
Nancy C, I think, is usually the
Yeah,
one that she used.
who gives a fuck at that point? Just put your real name. They didn't even have Facebook back then to like stalk you. Like, what is someone gonna go do research on your name? They're gonna go to the library and find you in the old fucking newspapers and find out what.
Yeah. Do you reckon she had to use one of those dial-up modems too? So it was like, beep.
Probably.
Her husband would pick up the phone and she'd be like, fuck off, I'm trying to sell my honey.
Richard, it's interesting that you bring up that point, actually, because around like the time where people were using anonymous screen names online for things like this, researchers started studying something called Mardi Gras syndrome. And what Mardi Gras syndrome is it's the false belief that when you use an alias or a fake personality, that there aren't actually any risks of consequences. It actually doesn't reduce the risk whatsoever, realistically. And so I think both Sharon and our other hero of the story, I guess, in her eyes, her Prince Charming, anyway, her knight in shining armor, I think they both had a little bit of that going on because there were consequences for both of them.
Yeah, and to be shamed out of the kink, the necrophilia dudes, that's kind of...
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially like in the 90s when like shit was boring. There was nothing to do, you know, the internet was so new. And she's just like, hey, Victor, trying to sell my undies. Like,
do you think her husband knew? Do you think her husband was like, yeah, I know why you're pissing on a row of panties again. You got a big order this week. Like, do you think, or do you think she like hid that shit from him? She definitely hid it from him. There's no way she was telling her like,
he knew.
Poor old Victor.
and who knows how much he knew of like computers too. Do we know what he did for a living? Or
He was like an construction worker in the
Yeah,
city,
no.
and so
Nope.
he was away
he
for
didn't
work
know.
quite a bit.
He had no
She was
clue.
alone at home all day. So, in one of these chat rooms, Sharon met a man named Robert Glass, who went under the pseudonym Slow Hand.
God, that's gross.
I'm gonna give you my slow hand. That's very funny.
His other alias was Toy Man, if that makes you feel better.
Oh God, no, not at all.
That would-
so much worse.
Hands so slow, you need to bring toys in with you if you want to get off.
Gross.
So, Slow Hand's game was causing pain. He was a sadist. So, Glass lived in Catawba County, North Carolina, with his wife, Sherry, and 3 children. He worked as a computer analyst for the local government, and his online behavior eventually resulted in his wife leaving him. Sherry noticed that Robert was spending more and more time online and less time with her, and understandably, she wanted to know what he was doing all the time. I mean, especially in 1995, someone who isn't on the computer a lot probably has no idea that the internet is such a sketchy place. And I doubt her first thought was porn or fetish chat rooms or just like being a fucking weirdo. Like, I don't think she would have even thought that. But after discovering that his email account was filled with extremely violent and disturbing messages to other women, Sherry separated from Robert. Sharon was still with her husband while all this was going on.
Yeah, and she also said that like the wife of Robert in the Washington Post article that I read, she was like, the last straw was when he said to our kid, or my kid came up to me and was like, why doesn't daddy love us anymore? Like, get the fuck out of here. Your kid didn't say that. You found the child porn. That's what happened. You left him because you found the child porn. And you're not going to say like, I knew he had child porn, but I just didn't tell the cops. So you went like, our kids came up to him teary-eyed. They didn't know why daddy was spending so much time clickety-clacketing behind the computer. Shut the fuck up. That lady bugs me too. When I read that article, I'm like, fuck you, lady. You found the porn and you didn't say anything. You're a dick.
So between August and October of 1996, Robert and Sharon exchanged almost 900 emails, which doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, I don't know if you guys, when you were young, you had like the texting plans that had like up to like 1,000 texts for free, and you went over that shit every time. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but I think, I mean, in 1995 or 1996, that would be a lot.
Yeah, considering it was only 6 weeks worth.
It was probably like 50 kilobytes, guys. It would have been insane.
The whole floppy disk. So the two planned for Sharon to go to North Carolina to meet Robert. And Sharon expressed in no uncertain terms that she wanted to fulfill her ultimate sexual fantasy, to be tortured and killed by her partner. The fetish for that, by the way, you guys, is called autoassassinophilia.
That sounds awesome. I'm in.
just tell me that. Don't give me any context. Just sounds great.
Yep. Sign me up.
So I was actually looking that up, and from what I understand, it's more about the idea. They're like more aroused by the risk of it, not necessarily actively happening to them. It's just like they're stage managing their orgasm or whatever in this crazy way. It's like dreams or whatever for the most part.
So it's like people who have like sex in their car in the middle of the woods, and like it's exciting because they could be caught, but realistically the only person that's going to actually catch them out there is Bigfoot kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, it's about the danger of the experience, not actually about being murdered, or it's more about the experience and the high that terror gives you. So I think it's a much more extreme version of masochism and sadomasochism and stuff, which is all about pain to bring on that, the rush of endorphins and adrenaline and all that. So I think it's a much more extreme version.
Yeah. And there's a paraphilia that went along with it. But it's basically the person that would be doing the killing gets off on that.
There's 8 subsections of paraphilia, and paraphilia is so there's like voyeurism, exhibitionists, frotterism. You guys know what frotterism is?
No.
Rubbing yourself up against either a person or a bus stop or something to get sexual gratification without consent. So when people are packed in on a bus, and when people purposely get on packed trains and packed buses so they can rub themselves up against people without their consent. Masochism and sadism, pedophilia, fetishism. So obviously that's just a massive overarching umbrella for all types of fetishes, like you were saying, foot fetish, all of those types of things. And then transvestic.
I just got distracted with like fraudism, and I was right into it, rubbing yourself on shit, and then there was like unconsensually rubbing your body on other people's body. I was like, no, bad part now, not good part. Desk good, unwilling person bad.
Yeah, right.
The rope in gym class good.
No.
The gym teacher bad. So Robert agreed to Sharon's terms and described in detail how he planned to torture and kill her. And so that did it for her. She was, sufficiently turned on, I guess. On October 13th, 1996, Sharon told her husband that she was going to be traveling to Georgia to meet some friends. And once he was out of the house, she left him a note that said she would not be back, not to track her down, not to look for her killer, and the chilling line, "If my body is never retrieved, don't worry. Know that I am at peace." So while I was digging into this case, I saw she originally posted her, quote, fascination with torturing until death in a necrophilia chat room. So it was relevant to the topic there. And apparently she got a massive response. And so I wondered if the attention she received from saying these things prompted her to believe the things she was saying, or if she actually felt them in the first place. I don't know if any of you guys have ever like said you're like really into something and people are like, oh yeah, me too. And I'm like, well, I'm actually not, but now I'm into it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she would say a lot she made up so much shit. She didn't even sell like half the stuff she was selling. Like, she's a liar. She's I don't know. I feel like maybe this was her husband not giving her enough attention, or somebody not giving her, this guy's giving her attention. Sure, I'll be into it. Why not? I'm down. Yeah. Kill the fuck out of me.
It seems like she just went down the rabbit hole and maybe mind fucked herself or something into being so extra about doing this. Part of me thinks it's like it wasn't like already part of her life. I understand that people discover things later on, but usually when you have a kink, it's kind of like it's been there type of deal.
So I kind of think the opposite. I think because she went to the extreme lengths to say to her husband, "Don't look for me," and spent 10 hours traveling to get there, that's plenty of time to be like, "Nope, never mind, change my mind." Especially if she's alone, traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah. The note to me, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think she thought she was going to go there and die. I think that was part of the fantasy. Have the husband like worried about her and she's going to be dead. And then at some point he's going to like kick in the door and like come in there. And that's when she's going to come. Like, I was just about to be dead, but you like saved my life. And she creams all over fucking Toy Hand or Toy Man, whatever the fuck. And then she goes home and that's when it ends. That's the end of it for that guy or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I legit think it was part of the fantasy. I don't think she thought she was going there to actually fucking. It's all talk, man. Nobody wants to just die for no reason. She was making all this $100 from all these fucking idiots buying her underwear. She's living her life.
Here's the thing. So because I was interested in this aspect of it, I wanted to know a little bit more about what she had done before she met Robert Glass. And I found that Sharon had previously met another man online from New Jersey who she went to see. But when he realized that she was actually serious about like murder to orgasm, he was like, "Easy there, buckaroo. Find your underwear. I'm calling you a cab." So she was definitely the one pushing for it. This was definitely coming from her. So I think that this is something that she actually did want and did fetishize. And to that point, it also kind of made me question her abilities as a psychic reader because she really should have seen it coming.
Oh man.
I would legit pay like $50 just to get one of these old tapes of her doing fucking psychic readings. I would love to watch that. I thought that would be hilarious.
So good.
Later in the future, like let's pretend people listen, like 1 million people listen to this over like 2 years, even if it's 2, 3, 4 years from now, just send me that tape. I'll pay you $50. Find me on Facebook. I swear to God, I want to watch that. It would be hilarious. Or anything this dumb did.
Her emails, anything. You can't find any of it. I want to know.
If you have an old VHS that you spent $100 on that says like giantess scoops up man with vagina,
frozen.
I want it.
Okay, so after she leaves this note for her husband, Sharon drives to the train station. She boards a train, and then when she arrived, drove in Robert's pickup truck to his mobile home. That was a 128-kilometer drive, you guys. Have you guys ever met somebody online and then met them in person?
Yeah.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you know them, it's like, it's still uncomfortable. You're still kind of sizing them up physically. Like, I want to know what that drive looked like. Was it awkward? Were they just like, this is fine? Were they just like listening to fucking Hank Williams and like
you're gonna kill me so good. Oh, I can't wait to fucking kill the shit out of you.
Did he paint the underside of his steering wheel with his jizz the whole way there? Like, what happened? I want to know. And even if they like found each other attractive, because both of these people, they were homely motherfuckers. Okay, they were not
solid breeds.
So were they like, yuck? But oh well. Like, I want to know.
He has like a sweet little ponytail, rat tail thing. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Oh. I don't care how sweet his ponytail is. He's just not a good looking dude, okay?
Yeah.
Formed some sort of a connection. So I'm guessing it was a pleasant drive.
You think? You think Hank Williams and hand holding? All right.
Maybe there were some Conway Twitty slow heads.
Maybe. I don't.
I'm honestly going with it was dirty talk.
You think? I don't know.
I'm going with it was like, I'm going to kill you talk, dirty talk.
I bet it was awkward. I bet it was awkward and they didn't really know what to say to each other.
I bet there was a bouquet.
A lot of heavy breathing, probably, because neither one of them was in very good shape. So it's just a lot of like.
Oh.
Yeah, they both honestly look like they sleep with the CPAP on.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. All right. Back to business. Over the course of the next 3 days, the two allegedly engaged in rough sex, torture, and he eventually did strangle her to death. So Sharon's husband informed the police about the note after he found all the nutty, dirty, yucky emails from Slowhand on his wife's computer, and they were able to track down Robert's address via their computer crime unit, which in 1996 is wild. Like, yeah, Maryland. Go
For sure.
fucking Maryland. That's wicked.
First case they ever used emails.
Yeah, I was like, woo, what a time to be alive. Well, not for her. But
Nowadays, it's one of the few things keeping me from doing illegal shit is my search history. You know what I mean?
yeah, incognito
That's
mode
what
is a scam.
That's what a burner phone is for.
That's true.
Wow, drug dealer.
I mean,
Among other things, yeah.
Just
Among
your local coke dealer.
stop
Sorry, Mr. FBI guy.
Yeah, exactly.
it.
Go about your day. Everything's fine. We're just shooting the shit here. What is a marijuana? Actually, it's legal here. I know exactly what a marijuana is. Double fists and joints. Fuck you, man. Heck the popo. Okay, so the police staked out Robert's mobile home and saw no sign of Sharon for several days. So a search warrant was issued and they conducted a search of the home while Robert was away from the home. Amongst the absolute filth of the mobile home, they found items belonging to Sharon, drug paraphernalia, bondage equipment, child pornography in the form of a magazine, to give you guys some context of the time. Somebody actually printed, bound, and like distributed a magazine of child porn. That's
I'm getting
wild.
getting in the habit of not calling it child porn, and I'm throwing this out there for everyone. It's child abuse material. Pornography makes it sound like it's something good. It's not. Pornography is awesome. Child abuse material is what I'm calling it. I'm getting in the habit. I still say child porn. I probably will a couple times, but I'm going to try and get in the habit. And if I can throw that out there to everyone, I like that.
Agreed.
Perfect.
All right,
That's
so
not that.
some illegal child literature and a 357 Magnum. They also confiscated his computer and several computer disks. Here is some unsolicited dating advice from Celeste, the only single host. If you're going to invite a woman over to torture and murder her, it wouldn't fucking kill you to clean up.
I kept thinking about that. Like, she showed up and I'm like, this is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chivalry isn't dead,
It's like-
guys. It's just endangered. Don't be
Oh.
like Bob.
I just like, it's like, I understand, you know, that you're gonna go there and you're gonna be killed or whatever, but I'm like, I don't want to be covered in roaches while that's happening.
Have a little bit of respect, woman. Come on.
Just a little bit.
Change the sheets. Lay out some rose petals. It wouldn't fucking kill you. Put in a
You
little
don't know what-
effort.
You don't know what they're talking about. Maybe that's how she wanted to die, with in filth. You gotta kill me and
Yeah.
cover me in garbage. I want
Ugh.
to use tampon on my cheek when I'm rotting in your basement.
He lives
Oh.
alone. If it would be her tampon.
She just walks into an episode of Hoarders
I didn't say
and
it's
she's
the most
like,
disgusting.
"Do me."
Exactly.
Maybe she was like, do not throw your trash for 6 weeks. Leave it in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm honestly amazed he even got rid of her body at that point. Just
I wonder.
put it in the
like,
pile.
Well, he didn't try very hard,
in the-
did he? He
in the
buried her
front
like
yard, right?
Yes,
2
he
meters away
buried
from
her.
his
He
fucking
buried her
trailer.
about
Yeah.
75 feet. He buried her 75 feet away from his mobile home, which seems kind of far, but is like not.
I was gonna say it seems far, but it's in an archaic form, and I don't understand it.
22
It's like
22 meters.
15 steps.
Yeah, so yeah. So not
Fucking
very far. at all.
meters. 22
4
meters.
goose wings.
Yeah, she was found 75 feet away from the mobile home under a pile of disturbed soil. And Glass was quickly arrested at work and then held without bail. So what's interesting about this is that the autopsy showed absolutely no signs of any trauma. There were no bruises, no cuts, no burns, no injuries of any kind. So no one can even guess what went on between them in the 3 days that she was there. But the ultimate outcome somehow was that her death probably was accidental. I don't understand. I mean, if there's no physical evidence and all of the evidence in the emails and shit says it's not accidental, why would he say, yeah, it seems accidental?
Well, the thing about breath play is that it could kill you. It could, there's between 250 and 1,000 people die of it every year. This is why you should always you gotta see a professional, you guys.
Which I get. You can't free therapist. If she went there with, we're gonna come there so that we can practice our erotic asphyxiation, that makes sense to come to that conclusion. But why, when all the evidence says she went there to die, would you say it was accidental? That's I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Gonna give you
maybe he didn't mean to kill her yet.
So but I think I thought I read somewhere, and I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought she was buried with the hogtied with a rope around her neck. She was found in the backyard. Yeah. So
maybe it wasn't.
But that's why it's creepy.
Report. I know that.
That's why that's why it's weird though. The whole thing is because there was a rope around her stupid neck. And I'm saying stupid because this is stupid. It just is. It's dumb. She's
determined, okay?
No, the whole thing's stupid. Like, she's determined. It's dumb that he buried her like 2 feet away, like a foot down. Like, the whole thing, he must have put the rope on her neck after she died for it to make sense. Because there's
the two kinds where it's either your wind pipe or like the artery, pressing down on the artery to like get you to pass out and die, brain damage, whatever. So depending on which one he did, you don't have to break this, you just have to damage something here.
Okay, so the prosecution faced a challenge in this case because the emails and the note for her husband do prove that Sharon went there willingly, knowing that she could die, and in fact hoping that she would. So there's absolutely no precedent to charge a murder like this. So what ended up happening was Robert pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter and sexual exploitation, as well as charges related to the possession of child pornography. So Robert Glass was sentenced to 36 to 53 months in prison for the killing of Sharon Lopatka, plus an additional 21 to 26 months because he had child porn. So between 5 and 7 years, 3 to 5 of those years are for the murder. So he was 45 when the murder occurred, 49 when he was sentenced, and died in prison from a heart attack at age 51. Do any of you guys know why that is relevant?
His hands were so slow, they went 51 meters per hour.
Nope. He died at age 51, 2 weeks before he was scheduled to be released.
Ha! Good.
Specifically for the child abuse material.
That's what I was talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's almost worse, and he got less time. Like, who cares if he killed Frumpy McDumdum? Yeah, finding the child abuse material in there should have been like 20 years. I don't even know how that worked. I don't even know how it's 2 years. It doesn't even make sense.
It's not unusual. The jail times for child pornography still to this day aren't that high. It is what it is. Unless you produce it yourself, you get significant jail time for that.
Yeah.
So he died in prison, thank God. So in an interview he conducted from prison, he admitted to tying her up and inserting household items into her various orifices. Very subpar torture. She could do that by herself, Robert. He claimed that they were having sex and doing erotic asphyxiation at the same time. And he said, quote, "I don't know how much I pulled the rope. I never wanted to kill her, but she ended up dead." So right up until the end, he claimed it was an accident. Like I said, the autopsy report didn't find any evidence of bruising or marks on her neck, but her cause of death was definitely asphyxiation, which means she could have been smothered or possibly gagged to death by the smell of his rancid ass trailer.
You go putting stuff inside of her and just ruining her day. I'm dead.
Adding to the funk, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to know what he put inside of her. Nothing in that apartment is fit to be inserted into anything.
If she would have survived that, she definitely would have died of like an infection.
Sepsis.
Chia pets. Furbies. There was an old Furby from his kids.
He talked about a bottle of spray cleaner. Apparently, he put
God.
it like bottle side into her vagina. I guess that was one of the things. While this case does fall under the umbrella of consensual homicide, it is very different from the controversial issue of euthanasia and also very different from suicide. So there is another somewhat well-known case of sexual consensual homicide where a German man named Armin found someone online who consented to being murdered and cannibalized. I think we've had enough of cannibalism for a while, though, so thank you, Will Baker. Let's just move on. An argument can be made that it is suicide and not homicide. For example, in 2005, a man in Japan promised 3 people online that he would help them commit suicide via carbon monoxide poisoning. But once the victims were in his grasp, he would kill them however he pleased, and he was clearly sexually motivated by it. So he was fortunately charged as a serial killer, and he can rot for all I care. But there's another case of a woman who told a man online that she wanted to die, but was too scared to kill herself. And the two met at a motel, went to a nearby park where he tied her up, strangled her to unconsciousness, and then slit her throat. So the victim had a history of mental health problems and suicidal ideation. So it wasn't sexual for her, but his motivations are unclear. On the one hand, maybe it's merciful because he knocked her out before he actually cut her, but maybe he just did that so she wouldn't struggle during the bloody part. So that's kind of a, I don't know, kind of case. But there is another case, which I find sort of inarguable in my opinion, where consent did come into play in 2012. 2 women made a suicide pact while under the influence of cocaine and alcohol. And one of the women had second thoughts when the time came, but she didn't want to upset her friend who wasn't having second thoughts. So she stabbed her an admittedly excessive 41 times, and she turned herself in willingly. But evidence in that case suggests the victim had planned to die with or without her friend. So it's a little complicated. Her friend was sentenced to 7 years, and I feel for both of them in this case. I wish she hadn't gotten 7 years.
I'm in 2 minds about that because if you're gonna help her die, that's fine. But do you really need to stab her 41 times?
But I mean, you also have to consider she was under the influence of multiple substances. And I think if I was in that situation, I would be like, case like she really wants to die. If I'm not sure, I just kind of keep.
I'm just gonna keep going
until I know, kind of thing. Because then she's not gonna end up just really badly injured, and she's gonna.
Yeah, but it's Yabbit season. Should we be making decisions like that?
Exactly. What do we learn from our buddy Brock Turner? Okay. If they don't have a clear mind, they can't give consent. So you shooting her or stabbing her or whatever the fuck you end up doing ends up being murder because she wasn't in the proper state of mind to not make a sane decision. I disagree. I think 7 years is enough. Perfect. Give her 41 stabs, maybe a couple extra years because you're a little psycho.
I don't know. I think 2, maybe 3 years would have been fair.
I understand that it wasn't just the one that got stabbed that was under substances. Is like they both were, so neither one of them were in the state of mind. Like I feel like one couldn't really pull the logics of it together enough to like, because everything seems like a good idea when you're on coke. I mean, you know.
And you also never know. I mean, a lot of people who struggle with like substance abuse and stuff, they have past histories in like social work and things like that where they end up getting kicked around, and they don't believe that mental health help is an option for people like them because they got screwed by the system when they were younger. So I mean, in that case, you say, well, why didn't you just get her help? But I feel for her. I do.
Like they have to want the help is the thing. Like you can talk about it all you want, but if people don't want to take care of their mental health for whatever reason, I'm not saying they're just being like conceited about it, but they may really think that it's not going to help them.
Yeah. And I get it. If her friend was like getting right in her face and stuff too, when she's like, I'm having second thoughts, and her friend is like, what the fuck? you promised me. And she gets emotional. And then, she sinks the knife in her one time, and then adrenaline kicks in. And she's like, I just got to get this done. I got to get this done. The sooner it's done, it's going to be over. Everything's fine. Then she immediately turns herself in.
But we also have to think that we're only trusting that one person's word that she didn't change her mind. Like,
sounds like a crime of passion.
Yeah, like maybe she you were actually gonna kill me, you fucking bitch, and then just stabbed her to death. I was testing you, and then just 41 stabs later, oh shit, I'm calling the cops. Like, we don't know. We're just assuming what she's saying is true.
Didn't you say she had like a history of mental health issues that
she had a very defined history, like very well documented history of mental illness, and she had like recorded somewhere that she was going to go through with this with or without her friend.
Interesting. I got to look into that one. I never looked into it. It's cool. It's interesting.
So that's it for the story, you guys. Let's talk about it.
I don't know about this lady, man. She seemed like something special. She was, I'll give her this, entrepreneur ahead of her time. She definitely took advantage of the internet at an early way that a lot of people, it took another 5 to 10 years to actually jump on board. Like, she was selling love potions to little girls, teenage girls, heartbroken little girls. Like, that's a pretty good market to tap into. That's what every YouTuber does now. They go, hey, little kids, buy our expensive merch and pretend everyone knows who Ninja is. No one gives a fuck about Ninja except for the 12-year-olds, but you know what I mean, though? So she was ahead of the game on that, man. Like, good for her on that. I'll give her that for sure.
Absolutely.
Entrepreneurship at its finest.
If I could sell my underwear, I would. I'd sell my underwear.
Richard,
I'm sure there's a niche market for that.
Absolutely. I'm sure there is someone out there that would want it.
You should start an Etsy page.
Just drop Richard just drop Richard a DM. I'm sure.
I say that you're gonna say, I'm gonna throw in a snip of my beer too. You just throw a little bit on it, put it to the underwear.
Blow my nose.
Now I'm
Ew. No, Richard. No.
Yeah.
Some people are into that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, whatever tickles your pickle, friend.
You could you could have a Patreon, Richard. Like, you could have levels. Like, $2 is like, a snip of the beard, and then like $5 is the beard and a used tissue. Oh,
you charge extra for every white hair.
Those ones are the wisdom ones.
That's why there's 3.
Oh, I got roasted by Fisty finally.
Fuck, it's about time.
Yes.
It took like hours upon hours of conversations. Now I'm gonna write about it in my diary.
I got roasted by the mean Australian.
It's about time, man. A little bit of back and forth.
I did it. I did it.
You did it. I'm proud of you.
I really do wonder what her brain scan would look like, because there's some people that have
probably like this big.
I was thinking you have that many size holes in it.
Yeah, bright spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you gotta. The more I think about this chick, she makes me think she's like really smart, actually, super crazy, but actually really smart to like look at the internet and see the big picture. All I thought was like, I'm gonna get all my friends on ICQ and just hear uh-oh, and like chat. That's all I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about like
MSN Messenger.
Yeah, same thing. Like, that's all the shit I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about like the big picture. She was right in the big picture. I'm not saying I'm smart.
Yeah, but you also weren't like 40 at the time, and she was.
Yeah.
So.
That's a fact. I was like 15, so
I don't think any of us were gonna start a panty business at 15. I mean,
I don't even want to know what to call that one. Is that child abuse material too? Like, if you send your 15-year-old panty.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
Just lie about it, and they would never know. They would know how old you are.
I'm petite. I'm 21. Green eyes, thick thighs,
blonde hair.
Yeah, luscious blonde hair.
Blonde hair.
I personally don't have a problem with it. Like, if she gave
which part
100, her wanting to be killed. Like, if she was like 150%, this is what I want, then do it. Whatever. She's consenting adult, he's a consenting adult. I do absolutely understand that there is still a law that if you take someone's life, you have to pay for it. You murder someone, there's a consequence. this woman, she obviously was seeking it out for a really long time, and she just happened to find the right depraved soul that was willing to do it for her. And regardless of whether he said it was accidental or whatever, he still, he has to pay for taking a life. He was happy to, he wanted to do it for her, and he knew that there'd be consequences for taking a life. So he did it knowing that that was going to happen. So if he was happy to take the consequences, then whatever,
Do you think?
I agree.
Do you think Sharon found the child abuse material in that house? Like, do you think?
I think that was one of the things that went in her orifices for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Have another baby. Have another baby. Anyways,
Sharon didn't have any kids. Anyway,
no, she didn't.
I agree. The way that this case was handled was perfect. I think you can't justify first-degree murder. I'm glad they didn't try, despite the fact that obviously, the planning aspect was definitely there. But I think voluntary manslaughter is fair. I think he paid for it. That's good. As far as like the moral question of like consenting to die kind of thing, I have no problem with it in the terms of like euthanasia, like a medical professional who, offers mercy to someone who's suffering kind of thing. I've got no problem with that. But in this case, I don't think that this should ever be like on the table as something that could be counted as like consensual homicide, because no matter which way you spin it, there has to be a murder. There has to be a murderer is the most important part of it. And it is always a bad idea to strengthen neurons between sex and death. Always a bad idea. So, I mean, if you want to do it and you want to pay the 5 to 7 years and you want to sit there in your jail cell vigorously masturbating, going worth it, then that's your business. But for people who think that like this, he shouldn't have gotten any time. No.
But something else is that you also don't know if in the middle of it she could have had a change of mind or not, and there's nobody there to referee the situation.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, I'm sorry, you can take as many classes as you want, but you're always taking a gamble if you go that route. I mean, there's other things.
Yeah, I don't think people should be able to kill people even if they consent or not. I think if you want to die, you should have the right to do it yourself, and that's how you know you actually wanted to do it. You did it yourself. Okay. Otherwise, there's always that you can't know what's going on in someone's mind, even at that last millisecond before you actually kill them. Maybe they could have changed their mind, and if you're controlling that yourself, then you can stop it. But if you're not controlling it and somebody else is controlling it for you, there's no way to stop it. Things happen quickly, man. Things happen so fast.
Have any of you guys watched BoJack Horseman?
Yes.
Yep.
The weak breeze whispers nothing. The water screams sublime. His feet shift, teeter-totter. Deep breaths, stand back, it's time. Toes untouch the overpass. Soon he's waterbound. Eyes locked shut but peek to see the view from halfway down. A little wind, a summer sun, a river rich and regal. A flood of fond endorphins brings a calm that knows no equal. You're flying now. You see things much more clear than from the ground. It's all okay. It would be. Were you not now halfway down? Thrashed to break from gravity. What now could slow the drop? All I'd give for toes to touch the safety back at top. But this is it. The deed is done. Silence drowns the sound. Before I leaped, I should have seen the view from halfway down. I wish I could have known about the view from halfway down.
So you never know at the last second once they know like they're past a certain point too. I mean, like people who do whatever they do aside from basically Ronnie McNutting it, that like anything that takes time, you never know how they're feeling once they're actually past the point where they can't go back.
Like the guy who survived jumping off the San Francisco bridge, he said as soon as his hands left the rail, he regretted it.
So I agree. I mean, there's no wiggle room for this.
Yeah, but I also like to give people the room to make their own mistakes. And if you did regret it, you still killed yourself and it's still okay by me. You'd regretted it. That sucks. We all regret stupid shit we do, right? But if somebody else does it, it's not fair to that person. It's fair to you to do it to it's fair to fuck up your own life and fucking take it out yourself. It's all that's fair. It's just not fair for me to like kill someone or anybody to kill anybody, right? Like it's just not fair.
I don't know. In this situation, I hold Sharon and Robert equally accountable. I really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think Robert is more accountable than Sharon because he decided to make this his call or anything. I think they're equally. And in any case, if this was ever made legal,
I have honestly,
so
I have suspicions as to this being, that letter was the thing that gave me suspicions to this not being real. Her just wanting her husband to cause a panic. If it was real, why leave the note? You want to leave the note so there's panic, alarms are raised, people are looking for you. That's why that note was written. It was not written to be like, so it's part of the kink. So did she actually want to die? I have suspicions on that. I don't think so. I think this was all part of her game. That's why it ended with the guy in Detroit. She didn't actually want to die. He thought it was a little bit too far, I guess, but I feel like he killed that chick, man. He killed her. Whether she really, really wanted to or not, I don't buy it. I really don't.
It's like just because of the transit time. I mean, that's 10 hours to be like, oh.
I do. I think especially, I mean, I don't know if like you guys, this is like kind of something I'm like, do I want to share this information? But I will. If you watch like a lot of porn, you gradually need more and more like unique porn to be able to like get off. And so, I mean, there's like a whole episode of South Park on it. This is something like people agree is fact, which is why I think like the people who've been arrested for possession of what is it? Child exploitation
materials.
What, just not, don't use the word porn. Say whatever you want.
Okay, well, that thing. I think that like the arrests have gone up so much just because people are spending so much time inside in quarantine that they're literally just getting bored with porn and they kind of stumble into it. And then it's like, uh-oh.
It's still not okay though. It's still not okay to go too far.
No.
It's still not like I'm not convinced. Like we can all disagree. It's fine. I'm just not convinced she went there to actually die. I think she went there to fulfill a fantasy to get right to the point of dying. And then somebody was coming in, like her husband was saving the day or whatever the fuck was going to happen. And that was the kink. Maybe though.
That's totally fair. But to my point about gradually needing more extremes, I think with her, because she did spend so much time like deep into like really like weird shit right off the bat, like necrophilia and cannibalism and all kinds of stuff. I genuinely think that she just got to this point where like nothing else, she knows like she's never going to be able to come again unless she gets like some massive extreme. And I think she genuinely at that point was like I think she had an addiction. First of all, I think she was definitely one of the people who developed an addiction to pornography. And I think she was like, I'm never going to have an orgasm again if I can't die. Like she's like, this is it. This is like the end all and be all. This is what I got to do to be able to have an orgasm. And I think she went there and she was like, yep, you know what? I'm cool with it. I'm cool with dying if it means that I get to have like to curl my toes one more time. I think she was in for it.
Yeah, I think she should have gone on the tolerance break, maybe.
After seeing that guy, if she didn't get back on the train, she was desperate, let me tell you. So
yeah, but
I know, right?
But I mean, like, maybe this is gonna. I've traveled distance for Strange. I've definitely traveled.
How strange? Robert Glass strange?
No, it's just a way of saying for.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but
I feel like you're classy enough where you would be like, nah, you have a little too much garbage.
I think so, yeah. I think you were classy enough to get to that point where, like, if you get there and you'd be like, I'm not into this, you turn around and leave.
You just spent 12 hours on a row. At least fuck me. You gave me some good thoughts. Maybe we'll just clear off this bed. You know, we'll swipe it over, get all the blanket, flip over the mattress. I can work with this for tonight, maybe a couple days, and I'm going home. I don't really feel like the soup can beside my head while I'm getting fucking pounded from behind's great, but I'll deal with it because 12 hours, is it worth the 12 hours it took me to get here? Yeah.
Richard, you dog.
I'm just saying, I don't know, man. I maybe like I can't see how did you get to this level?
Get back on the train. Just turn around and get back on the train.
No, I mean like the really long drive to get to the trailer.
Yeah, well, I think she made a conscious decision to get into the truck. So I think at that point, she's pretty much accountable for whatever the fuck happens. You let him drive you into the middle of nowhere, dude.
That's what I was saying. It's like she was in the middle of nowhere. You walk in and it's just garbage.
All of this is assuming what that guy said was real. She got in the truck. She got there. She went, I'm not staying here. She goes, yeah, you are. And then he tied her the fuck up for 3 days and killed her.
Say that. I don't know. He seems like a good guy.
Huge
good
bush.
guy. Yeah, I was gonna
Huge
say
bush.
good guy. Good guy. Huge bush.
I think it's kind of funny, that Mardi Gras thing that I was talking about, the Mardi Gras phenomenon. I think
Oh, yeah.
Robert like definitely believed, because he did all this under an alias. He's like, haha, I'm so sneaky, I'll never be caught, even though I'm gonna bury her right outside my door.
What was his
I
name?
mean-
What was his name? Richard Slow Toy Hand.
Slow,
I mean,
toy man, slow hand toy
people
man.
still do that now with the whole hiding behind Facebook type of
Oh,
deal.
for sure.
They don't have their handles anymore, but this is why people get into like Facebook arguments, because there's no like immediate repercussion. Like if you were talking like that to somebody in their face, oh, there'd be like immediate repercussion.
Same
It'd
with
be
like
bigger to
road
talk to
rage.
somebody like
Yeah.
that.
It's like, come beat up my car, you son of a bitch, and it doesn't occur to you that you're actually in the car. Like, this guy, I think it's a combination of like this Mardi Gras thing, but also I think he was dumb, because like just behind his house was like a huge treacherous woodland area where she probably never would have been found. So, I mean, I don't know if it was dumb or just that he was just like this big fat fuck and he literally couldn't carry her any farther than that.
I was wondering how he got her out to the like front yard.
I don't. He had the rats help him.
Fucking dragging her out by the legs. Fucking
'Cause they
soup
were not
cans
small
and chia
people, either
pets
of
are getting
them.
stuck to her.
Exactly.
They just become boulders under her and they just like pushing her.
Yeah, I don't know how he did that. I'm impressed he got her that far. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna take her that far, take her out to the woods where like maybe they're not gonna find her.
I'm going with it's because he's dumb, because who agrees to killing someone? You're dumb. You know what I mean? Like I don't care what kind
He was
of you're
thinking with
you're
his
just an
dick.
idiot.
He was a sadist.
I've
I mean,
thought with
could've
my
just
dick many a
buried her.
time.
and you're dumb too when you do it.
I've done, but I've never been to the extreme where like I'm gonna fucking kill you. I would never.
I went hours for some strange, and I would still bone them even if their trailer was filthy. Okay.
Yeah, that's different than fucking killing someone. It's like a huge.
It's just as dumb.
I'm not saying it's not dumb.
That's how you
I'm
get
just saying
scabies.
Oh.
that's how I got my scabies. Is what you just said.
Well, does anybody else have like something to add here? Because we're about done. We can wrap it up.
Always go to a professional.
Don't associate people like this with the BDSM community, because these people are not a part of the BDSM community, and most people that are involved in things like this, they are in tune with their partners and they have been doing this for a long time, and they've done a lot of learning and reading, and there are heaps of really good websites that you can search. Google is an amazing thing. So you can search BDSM for beginners basically, and breath play for beginners, all of those types of things. And there's also two really awesome books, the bottoming book and the topping book.
Like just like you can kill somebody from choking them, like if you were into rope play, if you use the wrong kind of rope or tie it the wrong way or put it in the wrong area, you could cause nerve damage to people. So, study.
Do your research. Clean your fucking houses. If a woman drives 12 hours to meet you, that's just rude. Take advice from people on the internet. Actually, don't do that anymore. Scratch that. Not at all. Vaccinate your fucking kids. Don't kill people, even if it gives you a boner. Don't do it.
Are we?
Thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Check out our website for links to subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Unethical Podcast, and become a patron on Patreon for early access to episodes at the $5 level and unedited videos of episode recordings at the $10 level. We don't have Twitter. Twitter is stupid.
You can catch our new episodes Fridays wherever you eat your favorite podcast.
And if you like this episode, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you hated this episode, also rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and just write a really mean review. I'm really excited for these. Now I can't even be in the corner properly. I'm no good.